Hi.
Hello, darlings. I, cou-
Hello, hello.
I couldn't get my freaking technology to work. I'm so sorry.
I couldn't either.
God,
You're just vibing too high, Lynn.
no, right? We're trying to wait. Ladies, excuse me for 1 second. I saved an updated version of it to the cloud, and I need that version. So we're right in the middle of trying to publish my book. And I'm working with this person, and he has a different opinion about the way that I should do things. And I'm like, thank you for your help. I appreciate it. But Magdalene and I would like this to be the way that it is. It's a channeled book. And he just has a different opinion. And we can just gonna have to agree to disagree. Anyway. Well, happy Friday afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for
Friday.
being here. And I am Reverend Lynn the Board, Akashic Records guardian. I guess that's the word they would use for me. The day I found out that I was a guardian of the Akashic Records, I was like, oh Lord. Truly one of the greatest days of my life. So when I was 11 years old, my mom had given us a book about Edgar Cayce that was called The Sleeping Prophet. And I was just transfixed by this book. I wanted to know everything about the Akashic Records. I wanted to know everything about past lives. He would go into trance. He would bring forth messages for healing for people. You know, he'd tell them to eat baked apples or oil of smoke. You know, he was just like the little mini psychic in me was like, oh my God, oh my God. It's like spiritual psychic Disneyland. So scroll forward to 2017. And I see a girlfriend of mine, and to get your Akashic Records read, you had to like go to India, right? Back in the 70s. So a girlfriend of mine goes on Facebook and she goes, I just got trained to read the Akashic Records. Who would like readings? And I was like, I couldn't grab my phone fast enough. I was like, oh my God, Tiffany, read me. So she reads my records and I'm crying the entire time. You know, when someone tells you the truth and the truth comes through with such a frequency that you're like crying because it's like your tell. Anyway, so I'm like, how did you learn to do this? And she goes, well, I got trained by this woman who got trained by this person, who got trained by this person, who got trained by this person, who got trained by Linda Howe, who wrote like the quintessential book on how to read the Akashic Records. Linda Howe's extraordinary. So I'm like, oh my God. And I Google Linda Howe and I find her on Facebook and I follow her. And then all of a sudden she says around November of 2017, she's going to take a group of people on this journey, a 3-month journey of learning how to read the Akashic Records. And I was like, let me just whip out my credit card and pay for this thing. And it was the most I'd ever paid for something in 2017. It was like $850. And I didn't care. I would have done everything short of selling my cat to be able to do this training. So 48 of us around the world start this Akashic Records training. And twice a week, we're meeting once with Linda for a couple hours and with 3 of her major people that have been trained to read the records. And I'm looking at them like they're gods and goddesses. I'm like, oh my God, the Akashic Records. So we get trained to read the records. And there's a prayer that you read. It's a very beautiful prayer that invokes the opening of the Akashic Records. And the very first time I open this thing, God, they start jumping up and down. And they're like, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti. I'm scared out of my fucking mind. And I'm like, close the book and never open it again. I'm terrified out of my mind. And I'm like, dear Linda, what the hell have you gotten me into? What just happened? And she goes, oh, they're just really excited to see you. She goes, okay, go back, but ask them to slow down and like just to calm down a little. And so I go in and I'm like, hello. So I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, welcome back, beloved. You are a guardian of the records. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Anyway, I've spent the last several years figuring that out. But being a guardian of the records for me means that it is my responsibility to teach people about the Akashic Records, to teach people how to open the Akashic Records, to maintain the integrity of the Akashic Records. And I have done that with thousands of people and done thousands, hundreds of people and done thousands of readings in the span of the last, God, was it 6 years in this lifetime? And then they start showing you all the other lifetimes. So right now, I have a student who is a girlfriend of mine. We've been girlfriends since 1987. And she taught me how to channel. Her name is Wendy Gale. My God, is she extraordinary. And Wendy is one of those women that has all of her clairs open. So when I teach people how to read the Akashic records, because I do that, I teach them a couple tools. I teach them how to remove blocked and trapped energy. I show them how to measure their clairs, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance, because you want your shit wide open when you go into the records. Otherwise, you'll see a being standing in front of you talking to you, but you can't hear them because your clairaudience is closed off. Or you'll go, I can sense people, but you can't see them because your clairvoyance is shut down. Or you're like, I think there's someone here, but you can't fully feel them because your clairsentience is shut down. Or you've just closed down your crown and your claircognizance is like. So for me, the records have shown me things like, I did a reading for my sister's best friend whose dad had just died. And Jill's like, I want to talk to my dad. And the dad comes forth and starts showing me like giraffes, wooden giraffes, glass giraffes, giraffe pictures, giraffe, paintings of giraffes, all these giraffes. And I said, your dad's showing me all these giraffes. And she goes, giraffes, there aren't any giraffes. So she goes back to my sister and she's like, your sister's shit at reading. Thanks very much. And then she goes to her mother the next day and goes, I asked to get in touch with dad, and Pam's sister is showing me giraffes. And the mother goes, oh, your father and I have a collection of like 50 giraffes. She's like, what? She calls my sister back and she goes, well, maybe your sister's onto something. And I'm like, victory is mine. Like you want validation that what you're doing is actually like real and connecting, right? And then one time I was with my best friend, Veronica, and all of a sudden I get this message and I go, Veronica, there's somebody here and they want to talk to you. And she's like, what? So I start relaying these messages and she goes, Lynn, that's the doctor I used to work for. And hold on, someone's coming in. That's the doctor I used to work for, and he died. He went to save his son in Mexico. He got pulled under by the undertow and died. And he's bringing like personal stuff. There's no way I would know about her. And she's like, when did you start talking to dead people? I'm like, I have no idea. I had just had a trip to Egypt and I laid my hands on a grave and golden shaft of light opened up and the guy from the grave started talking to me, and I had even greater access with the records, right? So you find out where you have blocked or closed yourself down, because we all come like when we're freshly minted from God, from source, from wherever, with all these abilities wide open. But if there's a lifetime where your eyes are gouged out or you're pierced through your third eye or through your skull or your heart's cut out or they smash your head or they guillotine you, you close down your abilities because you get killed for using those. Does that make sense? Like you're like, I'm not doing that again. So I help people to recover all those abilities so that when they finally make their journey into the Akashic records, and you're going to hear me do the prayer, one of you is going to get a reading today. The prayer opens the records. I open your records, and your masters, teachers, loved ones, and the lords of the records are the ones who come forward. And when we do this, because I'm an oracle, that's my soul coding, I channel. So it's your masters, teachers, and loved ones. So my voice is different. I don't even look the same, like it all changes. What else can I tell you? Being inside of the Akashic records, it's the collective of every thought you've ever had, every action you've ever taken, every word you've ever spoken, everything you've ever, like everything is recorded in the records in minute detail. Everything. So you can go in there and find out why you have the issues that you have in this lifetime, where they came from, and you can go in and figure out how to heal them. You have a whole, like thousands upon thousands of beings that are clamoring to help you. They want more than anything to help you in the records. This dear girlfriend of mine, Wendy's becoming one of the most prolific readers of the records. So when I teach people to read the records, if they want to be certified, I have them do 25 free readings so they know they can handle anyone. And when they want to get certified as Akashic healers, which is where you learn to go to the past, to the future, simultaneous existences, all that, they have to do 25 of those. So you're practicing with about 50 people. And I remember Linda told us to practice with about 20. So I go on Facebook very naively and I'm like, hey, I just got, I'm getting certified to read the Akashic records. I need to practice. And suddenly like 70 something people, I was like, whoa, volunteered for readings. So with my students, what I'll do is I'll go on and I'll say, hey, I've got some students. And, within an hour, I'll have 100 people that have reached out to volunteer. It's amazing when you get a reading. You'll see. So when you get certified, you realize that you have a landscape. You're having access to the quantum realm. You're having access to your own soul's record of everything, why you're here, what you're here for, why you've had the life that you've had, as pretty or as ugly as it's been, why you have the mom and dad that you do, why you have the siblings you do, why you have the husband or wife that you do, why you have the children that you do, why you've had the experiences, like all of it's there. Every last bit of it, to every speck of dust, it's all there. And they need to know that you're going to be respectful though. So, they're kind of careful about how much information they're going to give. There have literally been times when they're like, you're not ready for this information. This is not, it's not that time yet. There's a man that I study with, his name is J.M. Hammer. And he said he's channeled Jesus for almost 40 years now. And he said he remembered one time in meditation, he saw Jesus on the side of the road with the apostles. And he looked at him and Jesus looked back to him and he goes, it's not our time yet. And he was like, what? And then he was out of the meditation. So there's a timing to everything. And it's something that we've all agreed to by soul contracts. When you go into the records, you can find out what your soul contracts are. The very person that you think is your greatest enemy is the person that loves you more than anybody else in the universe. And you said to them, I need you to come in and I need you to murder me, rape me, rob from me, kill me, like all the things. And everybody goes to the river of forgetfulness and they go, look, and they forget everything. And then we come down here and we go, you look familiar. How come I like you? You look familiar. How come I don't want anything to do with you? You look familiar. You look like a total jerk, or people have that same reaction to us. It's all explained in the Akashic records. How crazy is that? Pretty juicy. Okay, so if you're willing to have your records read, please drop a little yes inside of the chat. And then I'm just going to let Spirit make their little choice. Okay, well, Steph, you stepped right the fuck up. So let's do this with you, baby. All right, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, hello.
Hi. All right, so in order to read your records, I need your full legal name.
Stephanie. Elise. Mahoney.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm going to say a prayer. Part of it's aloud, part of it is silent. I'm reaching out to your Lords of the Records, the Masters, Teachers, and Loved Ones. I've seen four of the, my teacher, Linda, said she saw 4 Lords of the Records. She goes, there's 4. I saw 7. I've had other people that have seen 4, 7, some that have seen 10. It just depends. They're usually wearing hoods. They've never been in human form. They're just an energy that maintains the integrity of the records. Your master is kind of like your oversoul. The teachers are the beings that are here to teach lessons. Like Jesus is actually a teacher, the master teacher, hired by Sanat Kumara to come to Earth. And then there's your loved ones. So this can be grandparents, the 7-foot tall, Zulu chieftain who is your father in another incarnation. Like, we'll see who comes through. I want you to think of 2 to 3 questions that you want to know. It could be something that you're afraid of, something that afflicts you, why something has been a certain way. Why questions are great. Like the first time I ever asked, why am I so afraid of my father? The first time I ever asked why I was afraid of my father, the girl who was reading my records, one of my most prolific students, she goes, 493 years ago in, I don't remember what country she said. God, I used to remember the country. You were your father's daughter, and you were known for your beauty, but your father sold you into prostitution. He had people come to the house and visit you. He would dress you in formal gowns. The only friend you had was the dressmaker. I think he said Zimbabwe, or not Zimbabwe, I don't know, somewhere. Marrakesh? Somewhere. But he kept you dressed in rags, he kept all the money. This young man shows up one day, you two fall in love with each other. He asks your father for your hand in marriage. He forbids you to ever see him again, but you still talk to each other through the servants in the house. You make plans to run away. You steal money from your father to the next time the dressmaker comes, you ask her to make your clothing so you can run away.
Wow.
She says, oh, I'm so excited for you. She leaves the room. She goes straight into your father, shows him the gold coin, says she's planning on running away. She wasn't your friend, but you were her, wealthiest account. So Lithuania. It was Lithuania. I knew I'd get there. I don't even know.
It was coming closer. It was coming.
I was not close at all. So your father then grabs you by the hair, drags you into the middle of town, has you stoned to death for stealing from him. And people were happy to kill you because you were having sex with all these people. And your father was also having sex with you. And you die from the rock that he uses to crush your skull. Now, this was really graphic. This is what's in the records. This, helped explain a lot of trauma and drama that I've, experienced this lifetime. Sometimes you go into the records and they're like, oh, you were a baker in Sweden, like you have these nice lives as well as the traumatic lives, but always there's something that funnels through to this lifetime. So if there's something you want to know about, I hadn't seen my father in 11 years. I was seeing him for the first time. It allowed me to heal with him like you couldn't believe. I knew he couldn't hurt me anymore. When you go in and face your demons, and they're waiting for you in the records. You have some real courage to be able to do this work. But if you have courage, man, there is no freedom that's greater than being able to go in and out of the records. It provides you everything you have ever wanted and need to know to continue in your soul's evolution. And my girlfriend Wendy, who I mentioned, she and I are going to be creating something. It's going to be called the Universal Masters Akashic Soul Mystery School. And we're going to teach people how to channel, and we're going to teach people how to become masterful in reading the records. And everything that we teach, we're going to be channeling as we teach it. So she channels Metatron and Melchizedek, and I'm going to be channeling Hathor and Thoth to the Egyptians, and then I'm going to be channeling Mary Magdalene and Jesus.
I love it.
It's going to be a year-long program. We're so excited to bring this to the world.
Beautiful.
It's going to be incredible.
It's going to be amazing. Oh my gosh.
All right. So think of your questions. I'm going to go into trance.
Okay.
Elise Mahoney. Okay, here we go. So again, part of this is loud, part of this is silent. And then we'll know when it's done. So again, it's not going to be me, but you'll figure that out. Okay, here we go. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, Help me to know Stephanie in the light of the Akashic records, to see Stephanie through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Stephanie have for her. The records are now open. Greetings, beloveds. We thank you for the invitation that was extended, for the acceptance of said invitation for you to come forth and be in our presence. Beloved Stephanie, it is our delight to be with you, beloved one, precious being of light. You have had indeed many experiences within this incarnation, but you have indeed found yourself on the pathway of love and light, have you not?
Yes.
Precious one, you come to us today. You have inquiries. How may we be of assistance to you?
Thank you for being here, and for myself as well. I want to know why I'm so, where in my lifetimes, or why I'm blocked from fully stepping into my power in the public eye.
Beloved, what would have been 1678 in the region of these United States? You were quite public with what it was that you knew and what it was that you did, and you were very, very vocal with all of that. And to say that you were put to death in a way that was quite brutal, we would think would be an understatement. And understand, when this was done, there was a sense of righteous indignation that you carried, and you said, I refuse to allow myself to be massacred like that again. You were stripped, you were beaten, you were burned. There is a forgiveness that has not yet been exhibited, shall we say. Not so much for those who did what they did to you, but more for yourself, where you have said, I will never again allow myself to be abused in such a way. And yet that abuse has continued to perpetuate, because what you have forgotten is that you are the one who has always set up every single circumstance that you have ever experienced. So when you can allow yourself the utter and absolute forgiveness and the utter and absolute faith that this will not occur to you again, you will allow yourself to step forward. Allow yourself to step into this memory, beloved one. But even prior to that, what was it that you were meant to experience? What was it that you were meant to bring forth? For even though a body may have been tortured and destroyed, understand that the messages of love and the messages of truth never can be. Be careful not to confuse the two. There has been much understanding on your part from a soul level that you are indeed not the body, and yet there is a very strong affiliation with the body that has to do with pride. Be as proud of who you are and the voice and wisdom that speaks loudly as what you have been able to accomplish with yourself physically. Allow yourself to bring that sense of love and of treasuring, shall we say, of the soul, of the mind. Bring that to all aspects of beingness, and you will find yourself unafraid. You will find that you are able to trust that they will not come for you, as we say. Do you understand, beloved?
Yes, I do.
This is the most recent incarnation. There are others in what would be the year 1515 in the lands of England, you also allowed yourself to be persecuted. But this last one, you said, no more. You do not have another chance. But understand, beloved, that you too, if you allow yourself to go back to the 1300s, shall we say, you had been the one to persecute others. You had been the one to say, oh no, this is of the devil. And then you said, what would it be like to be on the receiving end of that? But you had forgotten that you had played both sides of the table, shall we say. So when you can allow yourself to say, I forgive for what I have done, I forgive for what has been done, I forgive for what I have allowed, and I am willing to go forth and experience love, you will find yourself freed, precious one.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Indeed, this is your path. This is happening for you. And indeed, there is an aspect of your consciousness where this is already done. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Indeed.
I would like to, I'm also curious, I feel like I have a lot of gifts this lifetime that are kind of coming together. Some light channeling has been coming through. But I am curious as to like what my main gift to bring forward this lifetime is, like where that influence is meant to be.
Beloved, you are a conduit of energy that travels through you. It expresses itself in many different ways. It can be expressed as a written language. It can be expressed as a language that is sung, a language that is spoken. There are dialects of light language, much as there are different languages that are spoken within the universe, languages that are spoken right here on beloved Gaia herself. You have, you are much like this character C3PO, where you can become like a universal translator, and you will allow yourself to adapt to the frequency of what is being spoken, and you will understand the messages that are coming through. You have this gift within you. It is embedded and implanted, shall we say, within your soul. So when you allow yourself to open up and say, I am willing to be seen, you will allow yourself to open to the same frequency of being willing to understand that which is being communicated. It will not vex you. In fact, it will be quite normal to you, as if you are turning your communicator to the frequency of the very tonality, the very words that are being spoken, the very glyphs that are being written. This will come very easily and very naturally for you. Stay connected, beloved, to the solar plexus region, for there is much strength. Continue to keep that very strong within you, and you will find that the modulation dial exists within there as you direct your will to the frequency of what is being communicated.
Thank you so much. And for the final question, I guess I'm a little curious about my fiance and I, and what our mission is together this lifetime, if there is one, and a bit about like what we've been to each other in past lives.
Beloved, you have some 171 incarnations that the two of you have crossed paths with one another. You have been both friends and you have been enemies. You have been lovers, you have been parents, you have been children, you have birthed, you have killed, and everything in between. What you are doing within this relationship dynamic, within this incarnation, is to allow one another to feel what is called home, a base to come home to, a place where you can feel safe. And if you ever have questions as to the authenticity of that, all you need ever do is sit facing each other, allow yourselves to breathe, simpatico, to breathe together, gaze into each other's eyes, and to allow yourself to remember. Indeed, as you know, the eyes are the windows to the soul. There is much soul connection between you.
Mm.
Does this resonate with you?
Yes, it does. And we felt that, we feel the healing when we do that. So
Yes,
it makes
indeed.
sense.
The breathing together, beloveds, imagine yourselves spooning. We like this word, spooning, and let your breath be in concert with one another, breathing in and breathing out, and breathing in and breathing out. Do this to a numerical equivalent of 13 and watch what will be unlocked as you do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Precious one, we would like to recommend that you have a conversation with this beloved oracle, for there is still work for the two of you to do together. Much more to come.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We love you. We thank you. We thank all of you for your presence. And indeed, we will speak with you again. Greetings and salutations. This transmission is complete. Oh, whew. All right, there's a closing prayer. I would like to thank masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I would like to thank the lords of the Akashic records for their point of view. I would like to thank the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed. Amen. Records are now closed. Amen. Records are now closed. Amen. Cool.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I used to do this every week, but I have been so crazy busy. I'm delighted that I got to be here with all of you today. Please take a look at the schedule. We'll be back again, I think in July, to do some more of these. If you want to know more, if you want to learn how to get trained to read the records, if you want a reading, you can go to my website. And yeah, I'm a little high right now. It always feels a little bit like an ayahuasca journey for me. I thank you so much for being here. You're so very welcome. My love to all of you. Steph, I'll talk to you soon, baby.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.